Today we'll be looking at the first part of an interview with Drunvalo Melchizedek called Cosmic Grace, wherein he talks about his new discoveries and workshops. Only to the rest of us, it's a garden of red flags being fertilized with utter nonsense and presented at market as science. The original video is long, so I'm going to do this in multiple parts. Blah, blah, blah. Start talking, Bernard. His real name's Bernard.
Well, it began with my inner guides and the angels came in and said that I needed to create a new workshop to extend beyond. They didn't say what it was. So I just started making a workshop, which I thought would be the next level. And we did one of those, and we realized that this is not going to work. And it had to be altered.
Now, I'm sure most of his more loyal followers are going to look at that and not really think anything of it. But a lot of us will be left wondering why it is they would have told you to create a workshop without informing you on what it should be about, or that you would have to alter it sometime in the future. That seems cruel, if nothing else, especially from an omniscient spirit guide sharing the information on how the universe works. In my last video on Bernard, he claimed that he channeled a spirit in the Mitchell Hedges crystal skull to obtain the history and origins of the artifact. As you may remember, his proposed history does not line up with reality or with the results of the study carried out by the Smithsonian. This may seem irrelevant, but he's clearly moving the goalposts so that he can incorporate his newest insights to the landfill that is his collective body of work. First red flag.
Between that time and more recently in March, or actually even prior to that time, some information had come into me that changed everything.
Come into you? Okay, skipping over the obvious ejaculation jokes that could be made there, I guess he's saying he channeled his guides to receive it. And since nothing you have ever channeled has met any standard of evidence, I can only imagine they're as incompetent as you are. Or a figment of your imagination. Pick one.
Everything I knew. I mean, I knew it was true, but now it's proven to be true, so.
If you don't mind little to no clarification, or your expectations of demonstrability are extremely low, then yes. Otherwise, I highly doubt it.
This is about the Birkeland currents and the plasma fields and what all this would mean for us as human beings.
A Birkeland current is a field-aligned current that flows along geomagnetic lines connecting the Earth's magnetosphere to its high-latitude ionosphere. I tried to find something where he elaborates on his idea of what he thinks they are, but was unable. If you can find something, I'd love to take a look at it. Just post it down in the comments. I'd also like to know what effect it's having on human life that hasn't been discovered thus far. The idea was verified in the 60s. You'd think someone would have noticed any significant effect it has on our lives by now. You wouldn't happen to be exploiting people with something they probably know little to nothing about without explaining anything, would you? That, my friend, is a blinding with science fallacy. And don't worry, it's not the last time he uses it. Red flag.
This was one of the things that I had been looking for my whole life.
Well, the information about the Birkeland currents has been around longer than you've been alive and was verified while you were in your 20s. It's almost as if your angels waited till you were in your 70s to bring it up. Are you sure they aren't trolling you?
And so this was very important, and it was so important that I started to try to change where I was going in the first place to this new information.
Yeah, it sounds like they're trolling you.
And basically on the first time it wasn't set up. I was going in like two directions at once.
That seems like something that you should have noticed and then immediately fixed before putting it out in the world. Is it because you can't keep up with your own lies, or are you just that stupid? You know what? Don't answer that.
Now, on the second one we did, which was in August, we changed it all so it was coherent.
Coherent to who? I can't imagine any educated person would find merit in your vague hypotheses. You don't seem to have the confidence to submit your findings for peer review. And just in case you're unaware, Bernard, having your ideas examined and scrutinized is part of the process for acceptance of any scientific theory. But considering how mercurial your claims seem to be, I can understand your hesitation.
And the direction we were headed in was in one particular way.
Imagine that your ideas didn't line up. Yeah, you're not helping me think that your angels or your guides or your whatever the fuck aren't just trolling you, man.
And so August and October, were much, much, much better.
Ah, I see. You must have been using Charlatan's equation, which is word salad times people's ignorance cubed plus profit minus expenses equals success.
But in that work, there was one thing that had to be known and understood.
I believe you mean understood. Sorry, I just couldn't let that slide.
And the entire world didn't know what it was, at least as far as we knew, because I sat with over 40 scientists and none of them knew what it was.
So the whole world and over 40 unnamed scientists didn't know? That would be impressive if you told us who they were and why they matter. Appeal to anonymous authority. Another fucking red flag.
But they were all down to that same one thing, was how does the heart take a spark, literally a spark made from a mechanical spark.
There's no literal mechanical spark in the heart. The current in the heart isn't electrons in the air. It's ions moving across the cell's membranes. Another blinding with science moment, even if it is wrong. Red flag.
They took
He can never spit out his fucking words.
Calcium and magnesium and one other thing. I think it was phosphorus. And they made it made a little battery. One of the cells. It's the pacemaker cells of a certain region of the heart.
I couldn't find any evidence for this claim, although it would have been helpful if we knew who the they he mentioned was. Also, those regions of the heart would be the sinoatrial and atrioventricular nodes, which it just stands to reason that if you're going to pontificate about things regarding the heart, you should know these very basic parts of the heart. I don't know. Maybe I am just expecting way too much from you.
And it makes that one little spark, and it makes that little spark. And that spark moves through 7 different chambers.
Okay, again, no literal spark. Secondly, 7? You think there are fucking 7 chambers of the heart? Just in case this isn't as common knowledge as I assume it is, there are only 4 chambers of the heart. The right and left atrium and the right and left ventricle. Are you making up chambers now? If so, what are they? How many medical institutions are using your 7-chamber model? Red flag. Huge fucking red flag.
When it comes out, it's not just a little spark, it's huge amount of energy.
Not if the process you are talking about exists in this universe. The law of conservation of energy comes to mind. Your degree in fine arts should have told you that. Your bachelor's in physics didn't seem to help.
Enough energy of electricity to create this magnetic field that goes around our body, the biomagnetic field.
Are you proposing that the heart is the sole source of the biomagnetic field? If you are, that's really fucking stupid.
Nobody knows how they do. Nobody can understand how that's possible.
That's probably because it's not, and none of them know that that isn't how the heart works. Or energy. Did you even try to consult one honest physicist or electrocardiologist? I'm betting not. They wouldn't have let that 7 chambers of the heart shit go unchecked.
Because it breaks all the laws of mathematics and physics. Everything we know, that's not possible.
You're right. It's not possible. But not for the reasons you think. It's because it doesn't make any fucking sense. In just this portion, you have suggested that the Birkeland currents affect life in a way that is yet to be discovered or explained. Hearts have 7 chambers and can magically convert a small spark into a huge amount of energy by defying laws of physics, and that somehow all of this is connected because your imaginary friend told you so. These extraordinary claims need some rather extraordinary evidence because none of it seems to line up with what we observe in reality.
But it had to be possible because the heart's doing it.
Ugh. No, it isn't. You do realize that scientists understand the heart pretty damn well, right? What's truly not possible is backing up this idea you have regarding its connection to the Birkeland currents and this idea regarding how the heart works. Your own misunderstanding isn't anyone's fault but your own. It's like you can't be bothered to look things up. Red flag.
And so all these people that are studying Birkeland currents and everything else are all trying to figure out how that is possible.
I doubt that any of them are trying to figure that out. I'd bet that the serious among them will never even hear about your absurd hypothesis. I want to thank MicroBlogganism for helping me do some of the research on the heart and helping me word some of this shit. Dude, thank you very much. You're a good friend and always willing to listen to some of my dumbass questions. By the off chance that you don't know who Micro is or have never seen his channel, there will be an annotation on the screen and a link in the description. Anyway, see you in part 2.